because now we know that prompting is the key to a lot of the generative AI tools that we've been seeing today. But I think which is absolutely the first step that a newsroom could make in order to incorporate these most basic generative tools. Sometimes we don't know a lot about how they work or how we could improve them. So today we have our colleagues from Aftonbladet, Schori and Elin Wieslander.
I can start by saying thank you very much to Anna and to everyone else at Journalism AI for having us here, and thank you to all the previous speakers. So this session is about prompting, as we have mentioned before, and we named it "How to Become a Prompt Queen" because that's the goal, and that was also our internal first internal prompting class that Elin and some other colleagues had for the whole of Aftonbladet organization. And that was back in 2023. So today this is the agenda for today. We're first going to introduce ourselves just a little bit, and also the AI hub that we represent, that we have in Aftonbladet. Then move on to the basics, the key principles, as you can see. We're going to do some prompts for news reporting, custom GPTs. Hopefully you guys have some either questions or reflections or something that you want to discuss, complaints. We would be very happy to hear that and to engage in those discussions as well. And if we have time, Elin will make you guys a GPT that we use on Aftonbladet, and that's been very useful actually for us. As always, pretty hard. It's a diverse crowd on no what level, but we'll try to manage this. This is us. My name is Martin Schori. I'm the director of editorial AI and innovation at Aftonbladet.
And I'm Elin Wieslander. I am an AI and personalization editor at Aftonbladet, a journalist. I have a journalistic background and have been working with AI and personalization for the last year or so.
Yes, and just a brief background. Aftonbladet formed an AI hub in October last year. And the idea here was to be very quick and experimental with AI projects. There were many ideas coming from the newsroom, but we felt that the whole organization felt that all those ideas were often kind of deprioritized by the product and tech organization, because they always have these big other projects going on. So we decided that if we wanted to do something, if we want something to happen here, we have to build another team on top of the whole organization, and that's what we did, and that's this AI hub. As you can see here, 7 people working in a cross-functional team, and the idea here is to experiment, test, and implement AI initiatives in Aftonbladet. Another important thing was also to educate. It's not only these guys that's going to work with AI. Our plan and idea was that the whole of Aftonbladet, we thought this is a important and new technology, and that's something everybody should know. So education, big thing as well. And again, the prompt queen class was one of the first things we did. Yes.
Yeah, and maybe we have done various projects during this year, and maybe one of the things that we are most proud of are what we called our election buddies. The election buddies, we did one for the EU election in Sweden or in Europe, and one for the US election, are AI chatbots based on our own journalism. So our goal was to make an AI chatbot of these topics and these elections to an audience that could choose themselves what they want to ask and in what tone and level the answer should be. And every information in these bots were gathered, reviewed, and verified by journalists. And this was kind of a big success, and we are very proud of it. For example, the US body got over 500,000 questions about the US election during the short period of time that we had it live and going. But we have not only done those kind of big and hard working things about that requires a lot of dev skills. As Martin mentioned, one of our goals was to educate and show the editorial room how to use AI in the day-to-day workflow. And we created a landing page that we call the AI Buffet. And the AI Buffet is kind of a landing page where we have gathered quite a few different tools that journalists can use on a daily basis. For example, we have a brainstormer, we have a Google title generator, we have a link to Jojo, which is a transcribing tool that our friends at VG in Norway created. But we also have a lot of GPT assistants, agents that you can create with ChatGPT. And some of these tools that you can see here, we will go through more deeply now in just a bit.
Yes, first we start with the basics. Again, sometimes hard because we don't know what level, but we call it CIRC. Maybe CRIC would be better. I don't know, to just flip them around a little bit. But obviously, clarity and follow-up questions, role play, and context. I think most people of you know this stuff, all the basic on on how you can prompt and how you will prompt on this chatbot. We have been working mostly with ChatGPT, I would say. As Elin mentioned before, also Schibsted is very Google compatible. So we have started now with Gemini as well to integrate a lot of those functions. But ChatGPT, I would say, is by far the most used one in our newsroom, at least. Maybe Perplexity as well. Is also very used. So, but I just wanted to mention first that we are not gonna do like really complicated prompt engineering here with if you Google, for example, like what are the best prompts for a news journalist or for journalists, they will usually be very long, kind of complicated, and maybe not always that useful. Sometimes, absolutely. But so we're gonna focus on short prompts, on simple prompts, and maybe most importantly, these are stuff that we have been doing at Aftonbladet. So this is concrete examples on use cases on our journalism and from our journalists. And also, this is probably the most common questions that we get from the reporters in the newsroom as well. So these are actual questions. So we're trying to keep them very hands-on and not sway way farther from into this really complicated stuff. So I just wanted to make that clear first.
Yeah, so let's talk about this, what we called CIRC or CRIC. But as Martin said, some of these things may be very, very known to you guys, but we feel at Aftonbladet that we have came kind of a long way. There are many in the editorial section that are using AI and ChatGPT on a daily basis, but we still hear a lot of questions that may sound easy and for someone working with AI 24/7 for the past year, but we have to remember that the majority of us journalists don't have time to go and dig deep about AI and prompt editing, as we call it. So this will be some concrete examples. And I would say that when it comes to context, to provide background information, that is one thing that everyone who has Googled how to prompt or how to use AI will hear about. But one thing that I would say is one of the most common mistakes is that we tend to be too vague when we do prompting, and we ask, for example, ChatGPT or Notebook LM or Perplexity or which LLM you use. And you can simply say that we tend to see that people use ChatGPT as Google, pretty much. And a very straightforward example of this is translation. I mean, we at Aftonbladet, we are a Swedish newspaper, and as maybe you can hear, at least on me, and maybe Martin as well. Sorry, Martin. English is not our first language, it's our second language. And so we do a lot of translation, for example. And I bet you all know that you can use AI to translate, but what we can see a lot is that you tend to be quite lazy when you want to translate something. So here, for example, is when a reporter on the sports section was going to write a piece, a rewrite from an ESPN article, I think, about the basket player Kobe Bryant's widow, and she said, for the record, Kobe picked the post you're about to see. So if anyone has issues with it, tough shit. And if you use Google Translate to translate tough shit into Swedish, it will be a literal translation, which is cool poo, I guess. Sorry pardon my language. But if you use, and the reporter then used ChatGPT and asked for 5 different translations for tough shit. And as you can see, you got 5 different examples, but they weren't that nice as well. So I told him, why don't you tell ChatGPT what you want to do? Why do you want to translate tough shit? And then when he entered the whole article and entered why he wanted to translate it, because he was a journalist and so on, he got the best result, of course. So it is important to provide background information, even if it's a simple thing, just as when it comes to translation. Another example is one of our editors, Stefan, who made a translation tool specialized in the US elections. And instead of just tell ChatGPT, well, I want you to translate this text about the US elections into Swedish, he actually sat down for a bit and told ChatGPT that it is important that the translation is accurate, and that it is quite challenging for journalists to translate political terms and concepts. So here to the right, you can see part of the prompt where he says that where he told ChatGPT that well, this election translator is especially vigilant about avoiding poor translations that can arise from blindly copying US political phrases and concepts that do not have a direct match in Swedish political language. So again, I mean, just to write, tell ChatGPT or any other AI that to translate something, not that good. But if you provide as much background information, even if it sounds dumb to you, it will definitely give you a better result.
Yes, and although we said in the beginning that most of these were going to be very short, there is obviously, as Elin has been talking about, you can't make them vague and short, so this will be just a couple of examples here. A bad prompt would probably be that, tell me about climate change, whereas a good prompt would rather be this. So just adding a little bit more of information. Moving on is another example here. It's yeah, what should I ask an AI expert about AI ethics? Maybe you're preparing for an interview. A little bit of more context would help a lot. So yeah, simple is not always best.
But at the same time, where is my, there it is, sorry. But at the same time, you maybe shouldn't, you don't always have to write like a novel about what you want to achieve with your prompts. We talk about clarity, of course, that you have to be specific about what you want. Here is an example where short can be good. We in I think it was half year ago or so, we had a awful and terrible story in Sweden about a little young girl that was abused and tortured by her parents. They actually forced her to drink vinegar, and this was, of course, a very huge story in Sweden. And my editor came to me and my colleague Josephine and said, well, we have been writing so much about this, and it's so terrible and absolutely awful. Aren't there any like nice angles about this, or anything that could be a little bit more positive than all this terrible? And me and my colleague Josephine looked at each other and thought that our editor was kidding with us, but she wasn't. So we put in our in Sweden, the most of the crime investigation reports are up for our public records. So we actually took the investigation report and just typed in, here is a investigation report where a little girl, about a little girl. I want to know how this girl is today. And this short but like very clear prompt got us a whole lot of information about how the little girl had how her life had become much better when she left her parents, of course, and moved into foster care. And this saved us, of course, a lot of time just putting in this and typing this short and clear prompt, and instead of searching through like thousands of pages, we got this in just a few seconds. But of course, you can use bad prompts, short prompts, long prompts, use be clear and be short and whatever. But you have to remember that you have to use your words. We can see on Aftonbladet that journalists tend to be quite lazy. I'm a journalist myself. We can be quite lazy, especially when it comes to new techniques and so on. I have a lot of colleagues that have tried different AI tools and typed in a couple of questions and then be like, this didn't work for me. a very good example is one of our colleagues, Christopher, who worked with a lot of material about a criminal gang in Sweden. And he came to me and said that I have all of these reports, it's thousands and over thousands of pages, and I wanted to give me a list of every gang member mentioned in these documents, but it won't help me. I think he used Notebook LM. I don't remember, or maybe it was ChatGPT. But and then I asked him, but why do you why do you just tell such a short prompt? Use your words. I mean, you are a journalist. If you use it as a use it as a dialogue that you can like chat with the GPT, of course, and then it will be a lot better. So instead of give me a full list of every gang member mentioned in this document, which was the main goal or the purpose of all this, instead he wrote, I'm working on a piece about a gang member called X. This document is an investigation report in which gang member X is involved. Does this report show whether X has had been in contact with other criminals? And that gave a lot of better results. A third example is what we call role play. You have definitely heard it before, that one good thing about AI and the AI tools is that you can ask it to be a specific person or expert. And in Aftonbladet, we use this a lot. For example, the entertainment section has kind of completely changed their way of working. I mean, one of their coverage is to listen and watch a lot of podcast episodes and TV shows and so on. But nowadays they just transcribe podcast episodes or TV show episodes and then put it in ChatGPT with a prompt. And that prompt is, you are an entertainment journalist at Aftonbladet, tasked with finding unique angles in podcasts and TV shows. You receive a text in plain text format or as a text file containing a transcription of an episode, such as a podcast. Your job is to break down the content into distinct sections. 1. Start with a 5-point summary. 2. Create a separate section for the most striking or sensational statement made. Follow up with a section that focuses on the most newsworthy aspect of the episode. And last, end with a section highlighting the funniest moment or comment from the material. And fortunately, Aftonbladet is Sweden's largest newspaper, so you can just type in that you're a journalist at Aftonbladet, and ChatGPT in this case understand what that means. But I guess that you maybe have to be a little bit more specific if you work in a smaller newsroom. But this is a super good example of how we use ChatGPT to be a specific person that saves us a lot of time. And this gives the entertainment section a lot of time to focus on different things instead of listening to hours and hours of podcasts. But it's not just in like this fast-paced journalism we use this. Actually, our award-winning journalist or reporter Staffan Lindberg used ChatGPT and in his investigative work about child labor and the electric car industry. I think this is a kind of a very clever way to use AI as a specific person. He had to get in touch with a battery company So he actually through GPT asked ChatGPT to create a fake battery company, complete with a background story and a logo and everything, to easily get in contact, establish contact and get in contact with various battery companies. And this eventually led him to uncover how Tesla vehicles were connected to mica sourced from child labor in the mines in Madagascar.
Yes, and asking follow-ups is another key thing. I'm gonna show you just a small example also. That's this was from we found a report about COVID or post-COVID that came out from the Swedish government, and it was kind of a long report, and we quickly wanted to find see if there were some news angles in it, basically. And the first thing we did was just upload it to ChatGPT, the whole thing, and it gave us a few, just a small summary, and I think it gave us one news angle also. What we did then was just give me some more angles, and it did. As many of you probably have found out, is that some of these news suggestions that ChatGPT provides are kind of generic, sometimes pretty academic, and so I wasn't very happy there. So instead, we said from the next screenshot here, it says make them a little bit more Aftonbladiga is the word in Swedish, but a little bit more like Aftonbladet. And again, ChatGPT is quite familiar with Aftonbladet, and it knows that we come from a tabloid background. We usually have pretty like sharp angles, and we want also personal cases. So then it gave us some pretty good angles, actually. My favorite is probably number 4, and that's like this is how different the post COVID treatment you get depending on where you live. Since also in Sweden we have different departments and municipalities, and sometimes the healthcare system works differently. So that was a pretty good one. And another angle was to focus on the children, for example. So pretty easy one, but just don't just settle with the first results. Then this is actually something that you did, right, Elin? It's also that you can't really count on that the first answer you get is full, because here you have asked them like what subject was this debate about? Upload that, and it would list 5 subjects, and you just ask, but were there any other subjects? And then it listed many other subjects. So that's obviously a flaw with ChatGPT. You can't ask really for a comprehensive list of people, news events, or whatever it is. It's good for many things, but that was also something that you can see or find out with follow-up questions and get a refined result. Yeah, again, some of this stuff was from from the newsroom that turned into articles. There are obviously more uses of chatbots in news journalism. Idea generation, something that I personally use it a lot for. Interview techniques has also been helpful, I think, to a lot of people in our newsroom. Headlines, not great in Swedish. ChatGPT is not great in Swedish, and when I have been trying a little bit with English, it's usually better. But sometimes it will give you at least a little push towards the right direction. Could also work. And fact checking, of course, could also be an example of how to use it. Just a quick example of brainstorming, I was gonna write a column actually of generative AI and how that could affect the people's trust in news media. And there's been a lot of debate and discussions about this, and it's usually on how generative AI would affect it in a negative way, and I wanted to see if we could find positive ways as well. So I asked ChatGPT. I said what I was gonna do, write a column, a story, give me some suggestions and aspects, on viewpoints that how this could actually affect it in a positive way. And also a little bit, it will be published in a trade magazine for media professionals. I got some aspects that then it provided me with some things. I think probably most of them, or at least half of them, I had come up with myself, but some of the stuff that it suggested was definitely new to me and something that I could work with. Also, I found an expert and that I wanted to talk to, and with this background context, it gave me a few pretty good questions that I could ask. And also, if you just move on, in the end I asked ChatGPT to just create a draft and see if I would use that. Yeah.
Yes, and one of the absolute most common and most used ways in Aftonbladet is to generate new text and to rewrite old. Not everything is published, of course, but some things actually are. But we do use ChatGPT a lot in rewriting into more simple language. And we do not just copy paste, but we will get inspired and so on. And the same thing to rewrite for a younger audience. Aftonbladet, as well as I both think and hope, no, not hope, maybe, but that you guys listening and tuning into this also have a problem with reaching a younger audience. Aftonbladet surely has. But we also use it to use a more professional tone. And one of both me and Martin's favorite to use is, what does this man want from me, when various men try to email us and have weird questions. Yeah, some concrete examples. I mean, to rewrite so an 18-year-old can understand. I mean, being a journalist means, at least from my perspective, to be able to write and tell about complex things in a tone and in a simple way. But however, Aftonbladet, we do a lot of breaking news. We are strong in our breaking news section, and to do this, sometimes it takes a lot of time. So, for example, nowadays we make sure to quickly have a fact box more tailored for a younger audience. Here, for example, when our Minister of Finance, our Secretary of Finance, presented the budget from the Swedish government, our economic reporters wrote a quick fact box that you can see in the middle, but that is maybe more for an audience that are heavy economic journalism users. But we wanted this, of course, to be something that everyone could read about. So we quickly, through ChatGPT, made a fact box that an 18-year-old could understand.
Elin, hi.
Yes.
Sorry to jump in. We just have a couple of questions in the chat and the Q&A, so I'm just going to read them out so you and Martin can just answer some of them.
Yes, of course.
So the first one is from Carla. She says, you talk about an important issue, the value of journalism tools to find information. We find interesting challenges in revalidating the answers we receive, for example, in organized crime. I think that's more comment than an actual question. And then I think from M. Smith, which is you mentioned asking ChatGPT to provide sources of information. It used to be that it fabricated URLs, etc. Do you know whether and how that has improved?
Yeah, you, Martin, or me?
Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, of course, yeah, that is two very one good comment and a very good question. Of course, we don't use ChatGPT as a new information provider. We don't use it to find news angles or facts in that way. We can see that, I mean, ChatGPT themselves or OpenAI themselves say that they are working on this, but I mean, we cannot depend on other companies in what information we provide. So mainly when we use, for example, when it comes to the example with organized crime and finding information about gang members, that is information and documents that we have provided and sent into ChatGPT or Notebook LM ourselves. So we know the source of where the information comes from. We rarely or never, should I say, use ChatGPT to get information that we cannot validate in a quick way. Do you have something to add, Martin? Sorry, yeah.
Yes, it's a follow-up question on AI sourcing. What are your views on platforms that tout themselves as good for sourcing, i.e. Perplexity, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, we've used them in some cases. I think, especially in breaking news, where maybe you just want to have something really quick. You can see that, for example, a background of something that has happened, I mean, if you can see that it's good sourced, we're not sure because it's in a breaking news situation, so we're not sure that it gives like a total comprehensive view on everything. But we've used it for making this kind of fact boxes and a little bit of research also in the first stage of a story, and then we could probably go back and make it even better afterwards. But I think Perplexity is a pretty good tool for us journalists to use.
So we have two questions from Pivy. She's asking, are you prompting in Swedish or English in Aftonbladet? I've tested both Finnish and English. Sometimes Finnish produces better results, sometimes English, but I haven't been able to find out the defining factor. So interested in hearing your thoughts. That's the first question. And the second question is, do you know what percentage of your newsroom uses AI Buffin weekly?
Well, when it comes to the Swedish language, it really depends on what AI tool you use. When it comes to ChatGPT, it's pretty good in Swedish actually. But the Google tools like Gemini and Notebook LM, the Swedish is kind of awful. So we encourage our colleagues to, I mean, if they want to use Swedish, then go on. But and we mostly use Swedish. But if they're not, let me put it this way: if they're not happy with the answer, one of my first one of the first things I say to them is, well, try it in English instead, because sometimes I can actually see in for example, when it comes to the Google tools, AI tools, that even my bad English is better than Swedish. And the other question was about
I think it's about the AI buffet. I mean, the idea with the AI buffet was these are basically prompt wrappers, and so this was in the beginning when we wanted people to see like how can we use this new technology. Most people were not using chatbots, and back then it was basically just ChatGPT. So this was just to lower the bar for starting using AI, and all of the stuff that's in the AI buffet you can do by yourself in for example ChatGPT. But since most people were not using it, we wanted to do it. We put tracking on the tools, so we would see that which was used the most, and maybe if this was, you know, we could put those that were most used in the CMS, for example. But in the beginning, it was I think it's been very gone up and down, and as you all know, it depends on what happens around you. If there are big news stories, breaking news all over the place, you tend to forget about these new things. But I would say that the best thing with the AI buffet was also that it kind of gave people an idea on how you could start using AI and what you can do with this new technology. But the AI hub itself has probably moved away a little bit from developing the buffet and focused more on producing tools and services for the audience instead, such as the chatbot that Elin was talking about, or the election buddies that we were talking about.
And then the next question from David is, what are some surprising ways journalists have used prompts that you didn't teach them? How do you incentivize sharing of prompting insights among the newsroom staff?
That is a very good question, and a perfect segue into my next slide. This is an example of a way that surprising way to at least for me, and they did it themselves. This is our investigating journalism reporters made a piece or an investigation of how medical schools in Eastern Europe, Swedish students went to medical schools in Eastern Europe, and they cheated, and then they got an exam, and then they came to Sweden and worked as doctors here. And this example is about how the reporters tried to get in contact with these medical schools I think it was in Czech Republic, and they, despite sending like multiple emails, they never got an answer. And I mean, they are professional journalists, they know how to write an email, of course, and they know how to write emails in English, but they didn't get any answers. But however, they in kind of a last desperate try, they used ChatGPT to help them refine the tone of these emails. And then when they sent this new email created not by ChatGPT but with help with ChatGPT, they got an answer in just 10 minutes. So that was kind of fun. But I would say that I don't have, there are some examples of how journalists come to me and Martin and our other colleagues at the AI Hub and says that they have tried to use AI, but they feel frustrated. And then you can see that, but well, that is, why don't you Google that instead? So I mean, there are a lot of like many of us use AI and ChatGPT, but we still have some education to do.
Yeah, I saw that there's a question here about whether the journalists embraced AI, and I think that's in the beginning we didn't feel a lot of resistance, but maybe not that people weren't that enthusiastic or engaged either, and maybe because it's a very or at least perceived as it's something very technological, very hard to understand. It differs a lot from other kind of developments that has happened, like podcasts. Everybody know what that is. That's radio on the internet, basically. But I think that, and absolutely, some people thought, because they've read in magazines, that AI will take their job. But we started by talking about AI as, you have 10,000 interns that are also a little bit stupid. So just to kind of use it as more as an assistant or as help, basically, that you can get to perform tasks that you think are either boring or they're very, would take too long time. I know that we're running out of time here, but a final finding is that both for journalists, I think, and the audience, is that when you ask them, they say, we don't want to deal with AI, we don't want anything about to do with that, because we don't trust it, or for whatever reason. But when you give them, either the audience or the journalists, products and tools that are good, relevant, and makes them save time, or in the audience's case, present journalism in a new way, they will consume it and use it and trust it, and they will like it. They might not love it, but they will use it and like it. And I think that's one of the biggest learnings from all these projects. I think we're out of time, Elin.
Yeah, I know. Maybe we should have this one as a last to wrap things up.
Yeah.
Well, we just want you to bear in mind, or keep in mind, that we at Aftonbladet, we want our colleagues to see AI as a friend, not a mind reader. And it sounds very easy and stupid when you write it this way, but as mentioned during this presentation, it's a pitfall that is easier it's easier than you think to get in that pitfall. So just bear in mind, if you're not happy with the answer, say so to a ChatGPT or Notebook LM or whatever AI bot you use. Say so and explain why. And of course, don't feel embarrassed, because there's no point in pretending to be smarter than you are to an AI chat. And one thing that we want to remind as well is, what do you actually need help with? I mean, if you are the best TikTok script writer in the office, you probably don't need an AI assistant to do it for you. But if you're doing a TikTok script for the first time, maybe AI can help you with that. And again, we are journalists. Our profession is to use words. This is about prompt editing. People call it prompt crafting, prompt engineering, but it really is prompt editing, and we are experts at words. And of course, not keeping up, well, ask the same question again and just explain it like you are 15 years old.
Thank you very much, everyone.